Let's talk about the Smith & Wesson CSX pistol, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The CSX kind of came out of nowhere before SHOT Show, and it feels a little rushed. And based on some of the feedback that's out there, it's not shaping up to be the most high-speed or best-performing pistol, though I'm sure many of the large YouTubers will come out and profess that this is the greatest thing since Eugene Stoner designed the AR-10. This is the greatest thing since Mikhail Kalashnikov designed the Automovat Kalashnikov, model of year 1947. You're going to hear that. If we remember some of the press literature for some of the wonderful Remington pieces that came out over the past 5-10 years, remember the R51? Yeesh. Now, I'm not saying that the CSX is a bad pistol per se, but I think that the execution isn't the best. And we know that just based on the information that's out there right now, and even just looking at some of the cosmetic issues and some of the lack of features that a pistol launching for 2022 should have. Now, I think the size of the pistol is great. I think it's a good size pistol, and it does fit a niche in the micro 1911 style pistols, especially since it is a double stacked pistol. It comes with 10 and 12 round magazines respectively. That's awesome. And I think Smith did a bit of market research, and it shows because the average consumer wants a pistol with a consistent trigger pull. As cool as it would have been to have a double action, single action, that likely would have hurt sales for the average person who is used to a striker fired pistol or a single action. A new firearm purchaser too is likely to want something that is very easy to use. They don't need a lot of proficiency or training with it, because one of the big things and the big folly that I often see at the range, and you probably have seen this too, is people who have double action, single action pistols, they never really practice from that double action mode. They forget to use the decocker, and they really don't know what that first round going off is going to feel like. So the fact, again, this is a single action is a good move from Smith & Wesson. Now, let's talk about some of the cosmetics, and then we'll get more into the features in a moment, because it really just, it sticks out like a literal sore thumb. The frame is just so absolutely ugly. It is not an attractive handgun, and with today's technology and Smith's capability of producing some very sleek firearms, I'm kind of embarrassed for them almost, because the trigger itself looks like it's this cheap pot metal thing from the mid-1980s, and I think they did make a good decision on the aluminum frame over polymer. I personally am fine with carrying the extra weight, and I know a lot of people are as far as their pistols go. Maybe not so much weight because we're still maybe carrying a little extra from the holiday season, but it's not terribly uncomfortable with a good belt to carry a heavy firearm or a full-size pistol. It's just not. So good on them for the aluminum. I want to see more makers shift back into that. That being said, what were they thinking with the interchangeable backstraps for this? It seems cheesy and hokey, and the attachment system that I've seen thus far is just not super impressive, and a couple reviewers have had issues with some of the pieces not staying. And Smith has kind of put out there, some people put out there, that this is possibly not the final iteration of the pistol before launch. I suspect it probably is, at least for the Generation 1. Now, going to the actual feature issue too, that trigger pull is about 7 or 8 pounds from what I can surmise based on some of the stuff that's out there, and it's not a particularly smooth trigger, and it requires a lot of focus. If you want a really lengthy, in-depth review, check out Nat and Fancy's video on this, but this is just some of the stuff that's out there from numerous people, that the trigger is not great, which, coming from Smith, being renowned for having world-class triggers, especially on something that's hammer-fired, yeesh, guys, come on. Come on. The slide, by the way, is very aesthetic. I have to say, the lines in that look good. Like, it looks like they designed that, and then either the dog ate the homework on the frame, or there was this last minute panic of like, oh no, we need to get this out for SHOT Show. Somebody just draw a frame in CAD, and they just did a rough thing like, that's fine, get it to the CAD machines, get it out, get it to the CNC machines. And they're like, but we're not done. No, this is fine. That's kind of what it felt like looking at the design, because it's almost mismatched a little bit. It's a little disjointed in how good the lines are on the frame. And on that note, the fact that it's not capable of fitting a red dot optic on the frame from the factory in 2022, when there are numerous little micro dots available for pistols in that category. Again, Smith, guys, come on. The other thing that I think they could have done is add a tiny little section of rail on the front of that frame. Because there are many micro pistol lights that would fit on that. Now, I know there are some that don't require a rail, but again, it's 2022. Why are you putting out a pistol with features from the mid-1980s? Really, the only thing that makes this a modern addition to the pistol market is the fact that it's a Micro 9 pistol that is also double stacked. That's perfect. And that's great, and kudos to them for doing that, because any pistol in this category going forward should be at least 10 or 12 rounds in the magazine, because it's 2022. So all new pistol designs, pretty much, unless you're going for something really thin, should have that as a standard feature. So again, good on Smith for that, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure this pistol is going to do overwhelmingly great in the market. I'm sure it will sell a decent number, and they'll sell a decent number of these pistols over time, but it's certainly not going to derail the P365 from Sig Sauer or the G43 from Glock. There's just no way. The quality control as of right now just really doesn't look like it's there. And of course, we've seen issues with the P365. So hopefully Smith learned from watching the launches of some of these other brands recently, resolve some of the issues that people are bringing forward with their reviews and their testing and evaluation before putting these out to the consumer market, because I really hate to see Smith with a potentially bad reputation, because it definitely hurt the P365 on their release, and we saw what happened with Remington and the R51. It wasn't good. All the hype around that pistol was pretty insane too, until they started making it out into the market, and a lot of dealers weren't even putting them out for sale because they were just frightening. And again, I don't think Smith's going to have that issue, but there are some clear things that need to be refined before launch. I think they should tweak that frame design. If they haven't already started mass producing them, it's super ugly, and I think that could be one of the biggest drawbacks to the sale of this firearm. It's not even the red dot sight, it's not the lack of rail, it's not the lack of holsters, which is going to be a big problem because dimensionally, I don't think this is going to fit many holsters that are out there, so I expect that many large holster manufacturers will hopefully be working with Smith to get them holsters, though. At the same time, I think a lot of the people who will be purchasing this pistol, at least initially, and over the next few years, likely will not be buying this pistol for carry. They're going to buy it as a nightstand gun simply because of the configuration it's in, especially new firearm owners. Something that I would like to see, of course, would be additional aftermarket support. I would like to see what the Performance Center does with this design as well, because there's no reason that that single action should not be perfectly refined in 2022. What are your thoughts on all this? Are you excited for this new pistol? Is there anything that you're looking forward to seeing at SHOT Show this year? If there's anything that you want photos or video of at that event, let me know. Thanks for watching. Also, don't forget to find me on Alt Tech. Links are in the description below, and I'll have them in a pinned comment as well.